Saeed, I want to get first your thoughts on the deal and the fact that it even happened.
Well, it's certainly a positive step, but I think we need to go ahead and look at this really in context and with proportionality. It seems as though after a lot of negotiation and some major obstacles in the way and suspensions of those negotiations, there is at least some level of trust and confidence building through the signing of this deal. At the same time, I think it's very, very important to recognize that as far as how much this is going to shift from the status quo remains to be seen. The timing is also very important, and it seems that overarching all of the negotiations appear to be the Trump administration's insistence on having a deal brokered so that he could keep a major campaign promise that he made back in 2016 and upon which he's certainly going to exploit and leverage in 2020 with his re-election bid, and that is to bring American troops home. But it's important to remember that he's not bringing all the troops home right away. In the first 4.5 months, he's only bringing back about 5,000 or so troops, bringing essentially the level of American military presence in Afghanistan to the same level that they were during the Obama administration. It's going to take another 9.5 months for the full troop withdrawal that he is seeking. And at the same time, it's still unknown how many special forces, special operations, and CIA forces are going to remain in Afghanistan ostensibly to protect Kabul, as well as to engage in counterterrorism measures.
Saeed, for the people there on the ground, what are some of the immediate impacts of the deal?
Well, it's very difficult to tell how this is going to really change life for the average Afghan citizen. This is a country that has experienced American military occupation for the past 19 years, has experienced a rather chaotic environment for the last 40 years, dating back to, of course, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979. And they're also addled with the fact that, as was reported earlier on your show, the Afghan elections really don't move the needle very much. Here's a country of 35 million, in which 9.6 million are registered, and yet only 1.8 million voted in the election. So Ashraf Ghani wins slightly over 50% of the vote. That's only 3% of the entire population of Afghanistan, and less than 10% of those who voted or who were registered to vote. So when there are criticisms that are being made both by the Taliban as well as Ashraf Ghani's opponents like Abdullah Abdullah and Gulbuddin Hekmatyar, there is a valid case to say that these elections perhaps don't provide the mandate for Kabul to have a negotiating partner with the Taliban, which is really the next step in the process.
That's supposed to start, I believe, on March 10th. Are you optimistic going forward?
Not particularly. I am always cautious when we're taking a look at the situation in Afghanistan. But unfortunately, we really do not have a resolution of so many of the fundamental and underlying issues. Number one, of course, how powerful or how strong is the government of Kabul going to be? The Taliban, I think, are probably going to present themselves as the most stable and consistent of all the major parties that are involved. With the United States having a graduated withdrawal, the specter and suspicion of Kabul still being seen as a puppet regime for Washington is going to remain, and that's going to linger in the minds of the Taliban as well as they move forward with the negotiation. And these points are not lost on the Afghan people, who right now are, of course, completely fatigued by what they've had to experience over coming up on now 2 to 3 generations.
All right, Saeed Khan from Wayne State University, thank you for joining us.